Mike Kateri, and this is my annotated bibliography on Josiah Warren. The first reference I have is on an article by libertarianism.com called Josiah Warren, the Most Practical Anarchist. In this article, they give a brief history of Josiah Warren's life and political ideology. Josiah Warren was an American inventor, philosopher, economist, anarchist, and musician. He is known as the first American anarchist. He began his journey of anarchism by participating in Robert Owen's commune, New Harmony, where all property was shared by the community. After leaving the commune, Warren developed the theory of equitable commerce, which basically meant price as a product of labor with no profit. He would later implement this idea in his own town, Modern Times. My second reference is Josiah Warren's manifesto, written by him, where he goes into detail about his political and economic theories and expands on his idea of equitable commerce and its benefits to society. Although Josiah Warren never called himself an anarchist, the arguments brought up by him in this manifesto and his other work are used by many anarchists to justify their ideas. Warren believed that all forced collectivization of people into groups was inherently wrong, and instead believed that people should be staunchly independent and value individual rights, especially property rights, and reject government control. He also believed that the concept of profit was morally wrong and detrimental to society, and instead believed that the cost of a good or service should be equal to the amount of labor it took to make. My third reference is Josiah Warren's Wikipedia page. I use this because, to be honest, there were not a lot of biographies on Josiah Warren on the internet, and the Wikipedia page was very broad and had a lot of good examples of his achievements. A large part of Josiah Warren's life was spent in Cincinnati, where he originally lived before moving to Robert Owen's communist community. While in Cincinnati, Warren invented a tallow-burning lamp, which he manufactured and made a small fortune in before selling the factory. After the commune disbanded, Warren went back to Cincinnati and created the first ever labor-for-labor store called the Cincinnati Time Store, where instead of money, patrons paid for goods and services in reciprocated labor. This was Warren's first implementation of his theory of equitable commerce. My next reference is The Practical Anarchist, which is a group of Warren's writings and essays that have been put together to give readers a full understanding of his views. In the book, Warren talks about his view on individuality and how it is the key for a successful and moral society. Warren argues that society is made up of individuals and not a collective, and that the individuals can only be treated as such. Warren says that a government runs into trouble when they try to treat people as a homogeneous entity, and not a group of individuals with their own ideas, wants, and needs. He also argues that usury or profit-seeking destroys societies and exploits workers who are the only true providers for a group. He suggests that the only way to stop this exploitation is to make cost a product of labor, so that all men have to work the same amount of time to get the things they need. My last reference is a book called Josiah Warren, the First American Anarchist, a sociological study. This book, published by William Bailey on the life and achievements of Josiah Warren, focuses on his town, Modern Times, which was founded on the principles of individualism and equitable commerce, and allowed its members to practice absolute freedom as long as they did not interfere with other people's freedoms or property. Although the media of the time portrayed Modern Times as a freak show, where crime and sexual misconduct ran rampant, in its 13 years as a town, there was no incidents of violence or crime. Warren believed that Modern Times was a resounding success, and believed that the town's success proved that his ideas of individualism and equitable commerce were the keys to a successful society. It's important to note that where many people would try to group Josiah Warren into the category of socialist, he was a massive supporter of market economies and mutualism in commerce. And so that would kind of dissuade him from what the average socialist would look like. But he also obviously wouldn't be considered a capitalist because he was against profit seeking, which makes him a very interesting character in history.